How do you study what can't be measured? For centuries, we've used rulers, scales, clocks, various sensors, and semiconductors to understand objects from molecules, planets, and galaxies. This approach, the science of objects, works wonders for physical matter. But what about your idea space or your mind that shapes every single moment of your experience? It has zero traditional measure, defying any instruments we use for the external world. And so, if we can't measure your idea space like a planet, then how do we study the mind? As Guru Munindraji once said, if you want to understand your mind, then sit down and observe it. This is where Zen comes in, offering a toolkit as rigorous as a scientist's framework, but tuned to the study of the science of the first person. But why do we even need a science of the first person in the first place? Well, in earlier videos, we discovered that your idea space or your mind is uncountably infinite and has zero measure, which means that it looks like nothing to an outside observer. Unlike the science of objects, which relies on rulers, sensors, and timers to make measurements of things we can measure, the science of the first person deals with something that has zero measure and can't really be measured so easily, like your idea space or your mind. Thoughts and emotions arise and vanish, always shifting and evolving. And so to explore this inner cosmos, we need methods that don't rely on physical measurements. Thankfully, many practices like Zen, Stoicism, meditation, and philosophical inquiry provide these methods. They let you observe your mind directly, testing hypotheses and refining your understanding just as scientists do with the external phenomena. In this video, we'll focus on Zen, but I urge you to explore whichever practice speaks to you the most, whether it is Stoicism or just basic meditation. So, what is Zen? Zen is often called the religion of no religion. Historically, Zen traces back to Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, 2600 years ago in India when he was enlightened underneath the Bodhi tree. Then Buddhism traveled to China where it became Chan, and eventually reached Japan where it became Zen. As philosopher Alan Watts notes on Zen, one must not forget the social context of Zen. It is primarily a way of liberation for those who have mastered the disciplines of social convention, of the conditioning of the individual by the group. Zen is a medicine for the ill effects of this conditioning for the mental paralysis and anxiety which comes from excessive self-consciousness. In other words, it helps you free from imagined constraints like macro idea spaces, like cultural norms and intersubjective realities covered in our last video. So, the practice of Zen is not about worshiping a specific doctrine. Instead, it's a disciplined practice of observing your mind and reality as they are without imposing any sort of labels or predefined concepts. Overall, the goal in Zen is to reach Buddhahood, or becoming an awakened individual, which essentially is a man of no rank, neither above like an angel nor below like a demon. But the key is that one is Buddha from the beginning. You simply have to tap into your elementary aspects of life. A sensation here, a sound there, a thought now. As an ancient Zen saying from the Blue Cliff record goes, absence of attainment is true wisdom. If there is something which is attained, this is just semblance wisdom. In other words, enlightenment isn't about achieving something new, but recognizing that your fundamental nature is already clear and only obscured by mental conditioning. Zen, like the science of objects, focuses on reality as it is. But instead of studying external matter, Zen studies your idea space directly. And so to better understand the mind's nature, Zen highlights 4 key characteristics that shape your idea space: impermanence, selflessness, the experience of dukkha, and the 4 noble truths. Starting with impermanence or anicca, this implies that everything in your idea space, thoughts, emotions, and sensations, are in a constant state of flux. Just as space and time are uncountably infinite and ever-changing, so too is your mind. Thankfully, recognizing this impermanence frees you from clinging to fleeting mental states, which is really nice. Next is selflessness, or anatta, shows us that if we look deeply into your idea space, then you'll find that there is no I, there is no identity or no self. As physicist and bongo player Richard Feynman once said, to define a chair precisely, to say exactly which atoms are a chair and which atoms are air or which atoms are paint that belong to the chair is impossible. There are not any single left alone objects in the world. Every object is a mixture of a lot of things, so we can only deal with it as a series of approximation and idealization. Next, we have dukkha, which is a catch-all word that traditionally translates to suffering. But it really encompasses frustration, dissatisfaction, discontent, stress, unease, imperfection, anxiety, existential angst, and instability. Dukkha is the subtle dissatisfaction that stems from impermanence and the lack of a fixed self. Overall, even pleasurable experiences can cause dukkha because they are fleeting and cannot provide lasting satisfaction. The richness of meaning is what makes dukkha such a profound concept. It points to the underlying nature of human existence, which Charles Darwin, the father of evolution, once called survival of the fittest. The last topic are the Four Noble Truths, which offer a structured approach, kind of like a scientific framework for understanding and alleviating suffering in the mind. The first noble truth is that of dukkha, and when we cling to any sort of impermanent elements in our idea space, we're going to have dukkha. And so by treating your thoughts and identities as solid and unchanging, we are essentially creating our own turmoil. The second noble truth is the cause of dukkha, the chase for another thought, another idea, another configuration of the mind, is what really fuels all of this suffering. The desire for a different idea space than what you have now keeps you trapped. As Naval Ravikant once said, desire is a contract to be unhappy until you get what you want. The third noble truth is the end of dukkha, releasing attachment and living in the idea space of the present moment rather than longing for an inaccessible past or an imaginary future. Observing thoughts as they arise and pass helps you realize that they are just phenomena, not necessarily you. Of course, ending suffering is no trivial task. That's where the fourth noble truth comes in, the Eightfold Path. It is a practical framework for transforming your idea space from chaos into clarity. The Eightfold Path is traditionally divided into three groups: wisdom, morality, and concentration. In the wisdom group, there are right view and right thought. Right view is the heart of the entire path and permeates all steps. It means seeing the world yatha bhutam, or just as it is, stripped of any distortions. Right thought means recognizing that although you are not your thoughts and emotions, that whatever you frequently ponder becomes the inclination of the mind. In the morality group, there are right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Right speech encourages truthfulness, avoiding slander and gossip, and being mindful of emotional tones and useless chatter. As an ancient once said, immeasurably great people are turned about in the stream of speech. Right action means adhering to the 5 precepts: no harm to living beings including yourself, no stealing and acting on acts of generosity, refraining from speaking ill of those not present, abstaining from sexual misconduct, and avoiding heedless intoxication. Right livelihood is the ability to find a profession that is spiritually fulfilling. In the concentration group, the last one, there are right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Right effort is putting energy into wholesome states of mind like compassion and metta, or loving kindness, instead of unwholesome state of mind like thoughts of sensual desire, ill will, or cruelty. Right mindfulness involves returning to the present moment over and over again without identifying with any particular thought or emotion. As an ancient once said, mindfulness is short moments many times. Right concentration builds momentum in the mindful observations, leading to a state of samadhi, or a state of deep mental stability and clarity. Overall, these 4 noble truths function like a scientific protocol, guiding you through mental experiments that reveal the inner workings of your idea space. Zen is the science of the first person. It applies the same spirit of testing and falsifiability found in physics and chemistry, but directs it inward. Instead of using sensors or rulers, Zen practitioners use disciplined observations, questioning each thought and emotion to see if it withstands closer scrutiny. Just as the science of object tests theories by looking for evidence that might falsify them, Zen tests the mind's construct by welcoming doubt and investigating direct experience. The method isn't direct blind belief, but careful experiments within your own consciousness, observing thoughts as they arise and vanish, and then asking, is there truly a permanent I or self here? If you'd like a more in-depth exploration of Zen and how it can relate to you, then check out the Idea Space book, link below. Also, shameless plug, we offer a few different resources to help refine this inner exploration. 100 Daily Meditations is exactly what it sounds like. 100 Mindful Prompts includes daily quotes, challenges, and reflections. And Mindful Match is a fun card game that fosters deeper conversations, so check them out. By understanding impermanence, selflessness, and the 4 noble truths, you're able to refine your inner perception. This clarity can help you navigate the macro idea spaces of your world with greater wisdom, leading to a happier existence, which at the end of the day really is the key to survival. As Darwin once said, when we reflect on the struggle for life, we may console ourselves with the full belief that the war of nature is not incessant, that no fear is felt, that death is generally prompt, and that the vigorous, the healthy, and the happy, yes, the happy, survive and multiply. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, hit subscribe, and that notification bell so you won't miss the next videos when we talk about Clopin, the observable universe, Big Bang, and a lot of other fun stuff. So I shall see you next time. Peace, dog!